Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm quickly doing a video to just show you how I believe you should set up an exam study timetable. There are many methods, but this is the method that I found the most effective. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to get hold of your final exam timetable. I also found when I set this up that if you go on, I think Word does it, but you can find them anywhere, you get calendars where it's a full calendar in one block. Okay, so basically we're going to have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you set up your entire month's calendar going backwards from your final exam, which I believe the last exam is something like the 15th of December, potentially, and you're going to go and fill in for every single month one of these sheets. It works very well if you start right at the beginning. So let's pretend in this particular month, the month starts, so this would start looking from December, and then you do a similar activity to exactly what I'm showing you for November, October, right the way till now, if you're being smart. So if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, just give me a second, I've actually got to do this, 14, 15. Okay, that's all we need for December. I'm going to quickly pretend that this is one of those miraculous months where we end up, I don't actually think I can copy this. Let's see if it works. Nope, it doesn't. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to do a calendar duplication of this. Oh, did I miss that? Thank you. Okay, cool. Someone's just pointed out that I did 19. Oops, there we go. Now, I find that I cannot do more than 2 things a day properly. So what I did was I divided my entire year into 2 sections. Sorry, my entire, it wasn't the full year. I only did this from June. So I divided everything into half. Okay, so this is set up. You can actually get these printed on A4 pages. They're set up for you with the calendar months, and all that you do is split them in half. Now, the important thing is you need to know all of your subjects and their dates for final exams. You can actually start this out if you really want to, just for your prelims, and it works pretty well. But the point that I want to make is that you're going to start by putting in the exams that you write. Now, I view this half a day and half a day as being morning and afternoon. What I do therefore is if I know that I write a certain exam on a certain day, you can go and do this properly with your own timetable. Let's say over here, I know that I've got an Afrikaans paper 2 in the afternoon on a Saturday, because that would really happen. Let's quickly just move that. But you'd put each of your things on the specific day. Okay, so I think I can't even remember, there might be an art exam there in the afternoon. You might have bio over here. You might have English, not on Sunday once again, bio over here. You might have physics, paper 2. But the point is that you're going to put in each of your exams in one color. So every day that you have an exam, either in the morning or the afternoon session, you're going to put it in the right slot because you're not going to be studying in that session. You don't have time. Now, the reason that I find that this works so well is that many of you have a problem where you bunch things up and you forget what you're studying. So you always start an exam timetable from the very end. The reason is, if art is your last exam, you're not going to be studying anything but art before it. In fact, pretty much exclusively. There's art, there's art. Guess what? You're doing art, you're doing art, you're doing art. Then we've got bio, and I recommend before each exam, you only study that session the day before. So the day before, if you can, you do a double session on that topic, unless you've got a bunch up of exams. Now, what I found helped me very much to decide how many sessions I needed for each subject is I imagined my subjects like a pie. And I wrote down all of my subjects. I did maths, science, English, Afrikaans, history, biology. I was in fact lucky enough to do French, but I'm not going to put that on here. And I find that for most of you, if you're doing a decent pie chart, you will find that maths and science should be about 25% of your time. You may choose, you know where your time needs to go. In my particular case, I was not so nuts on the languages. So I kind of would view English and Afrikaans as being a smaller portion. But remember, you've got a full pie. You can divide it up. Then out of history and biology, I may put biology here and history here. Divide up your pie. Now, the reason that this tells me important things is it tells me that overall for my entire studying, 1 in every 4 sessions, 1, 2, 3, 4, should be maths or science, okay? If you're particularly weak at a subject, weight it slightly more so that you're actually not spending tons of time on a subject that you don't need to, even if you enjoy it, and no time on a subject that you need to, okay? So this will help you divide up how many sessions you should have overall. But going back to the idea here, we have a problem here because there's English and straight afterwards bio. So that means right before English, maybe I study for English, but then I need to know that bio is coming up. So I would probably put in that I must do bio here, maybe a little bit of English as well. Before physics, we're only going to do physics. And in fact, because I like physics, we're only going to do physics for the day before as well. You set things up according to what you know you need to do. Now, I haven't got enough practice for this bio exam. There's only 2 sessions in there. So here on this weekend, instead of me only focusing on physics, I stick in a bio and I stick in a physics. And then maybe, I don't know, English was never one that I put a lot of time on, but here I may put in a bio and I may put in another physics. This helps you to prevent situations where quite often you get it where your last exam is a week and a half after another subject, and you can actually afford to study exclusively for that subject right at the end. Okay, before geography, I need to do geography. Before maths, I need to do maths. But then here, I can start planning. Maybe I put maths every day here, but I don't forget that I've also got geography coming up. And I don't forget that at some point in the future, physics also needs to be done. So what I do when I set up my timetable is I literally have the entire exam period with every single exam in it. I make sure that if I can, the day before, I only do that subject. And then you start planning ahead with what you should do where. Because I find, as I said, what really happens is you guys suddenly get to a place where there are 3 exams in a row. By the time you hit that 3rd exam, you spent 1 day, if anything, studying for it because you've just been focusing on the next exam each time. So I find that if you set this up and you'd effectively run something like this, going the whole way back, where maybe somewhere here in November, okay, so if we had a November timetable, you'd kind of be working back even further from this. Does that make sense? Does what I've just described to you make sense? Does it kind of fit together in terms of what you do? So you start from your final exam, you plan backwards, and you also then keep an eye on things. Now, something that is important, very important when setting up an exam, is know what's important to you. If you start now I don't know if any of you have yet done the maths on this, but we're 25th of August. September, 25th of September, 25th of October, you're probably going to be started with some of your exams by then. 25th of November will be 5 days after you've finished your physics, okay? 4 days after you finished your physics. You got 3 months, 3 of these things to fill in and to work out, probably 4. You are not going to do only studying in that time. So what I used to do is in every week of 7 days, I would give myself 1 session off, which meant usually it would be a Saturday, maybe even a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'd give myself a day, not a whole day, a half day off. So morning or an afternoon. And the deal that I had with myself is that if I did all of the work for the week, then I could have that time slot to do whatever I wanted to. If I didn't get what I'd planned done for the week, then I couldn't. The other thing is that I wasn't just filling in which subject. I also at some point sat down and figured out what aspect of that subject I needed to do in that specific time slot. So it wasn't just a case of I'm going to do French. It would be I'm going to do French vocab and then I'm going to focus on the summary of the literature. So in each day when I said I'd do a subject, I didn't leave myself there twiddling my fingers and saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. One of the options is to just write past papers, and that's fine. You're going to do past papers, that's cool. But if there's a specific section that you know you need to focus on that you've been avoiding, then it's a good way to make sure that you divide your time up evenly. when it comes to maths, you may actually want to go and say, I'm going to do paper 1 or paper 2. Because otherwise what students tend to do is we do the things we're already good at, okay? Because it's easier. It's way easier than doing the stuff you're trying to avoid so hard. So I found that if I was honest with myself and I set up a timetable, it worked well. I also found with this that I did it by quality, not quantity, which meant that if you've set aside something and you do it really well, you don't have to spend hours at it. So it's more about doing good work than doing time. It's not a prison sentence. So a morning session and an afternoon session may mean different things for all of you. You don't even have to do, some of you may do a day into 4, you may cross it and then do 4 sessions. But I found that two sessions a day was manageable and I could always achieve it. If I had extra time and I really felt like doing something else, I could always go and put it in. But the point was, if I gave myself 5 things to do and I didn't get to them, then it was a problem. So there's a question here saying, how long were each of my sessions? Oh, it depended. People have shown studies that you can't actually focus for very long, very easily. So I probably can focus for about an hour and a half comfortably. So I wouldn't suggest that you do more than 2 hours in one go. I know that's a bit of an irony with you guys writing a 3-hour exam, but sometimes that was the case. So sometimes with prelims and finals, I'd sit down specifically for my maths, my science, and my biology. Getting hold of past paper books was really easy. And I didn't really do past paper for the other subjects. It was a bit vague and not quite what I focused on. But I would sit down and I'd do a full past paper with an alarm clock timing me, because I'd then have to keep track of whether I was doing them fast enough or not in order to be able to answer enough of the questions. And what I used to do is I'd actually write a full paper, then I'd have a break, then I'd come back, I'd mark my full paper, and I'd go through anything that I didn't know. I probably was a big pain to my teachers at school, because I also was one of those students, I think I was the only student in the school. My younger siblings were still at school, and I'd go to school with them each day. And I'd arrive in a teacher's classroom and I'd go, I know we're not supposed to be at school now, but here are my questions. How do we do these things? Usually they were the nasty things that the teachers didn't want to answer. But my advice is very much, particularly with what's changed and happened this year, ask your teachers. Ask them anything that you're not sure about so that you improve on it. If you're not sure about it when you're doing it in a trial exam, you're going to get incredibly stressed and frustrated if it pops up in your actual exam. Okay, so I think that you've got to realize your teachers should be there to support you. If they're not, I know many of you have already been sending me questions. You're welcome to keep sending me questions up until your exam. But make sure that you get the assistance that you need. The internet is an amazing source of information. There is very little that you cannot actually find out from the internet, although sometimes it may not be in the form that you like. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that this has made good sense to you. My best advice when it comes to preparing for your matric exams is you first of all got to be honest with yourself. If you know that you're a procrastinator, you've got to put in systems, accountability, something like that. My accountability was very easy. I was motivated by sticky gold stars, and I only got my sticky gold star on my beautifully colored chart if I'd done the work. Many of you are probably not motivated by sticky gold stars, but what you may do is you may find that you reward yourself by giving yourself, you want to pace it so that you don't lose your life. So if you're somebody who likes exercise routines, don't stop exercise routines because of your matric final exams. That's a disaster. Maybe cut back, but don't stop them. Give yourself the things you love as study breaks if you've done the work to deserve them. So kind of convince yourself that doing the work now is worth it because you'll get your gym session, you'll get to go for a run, you'll get to see your friend, okay, now that we're legally allowed to. Whatever it is that motivates you, come up with a reward system that works for you. And don't, some people get very into the trying to fool themselves. You've reached that point where you're not fooling anybody. If you're only sitting down because your parents are outside the door forcing you to study, you're not absorbing anything. You've got to be doing this for yourself. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that made some good sense to you in terms of what I was trying to suggest with how you set up the timetable. Please, if you do have any questions, do let me know. If you've done your timetables after this, you can send me a picture if you have any questions, but it kind of gives you an idea as to why we start at the end and work backwards. My final exam was French, and French was a week and a half after everybody else finished. So I had a friend where I worked very well with, and we actually went on holiday together between our second last exam and our last two, well, second, third last exam and our last two exams. We went away to a holiday house that we could study, and it worked brilliantly. We had a French holiday. So work around things like that. Make sure that as much as you can, your time works well for you. Okay.